Okay, there's a motion for approval of the treasurer's report and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So the motion's been approved. We have 2 absent, and so we'll move on to the next item. And the next item is adoption of the resolution approving public records request response policy. I've had a chance to read this. I don't see any issues with it. And matter of fact, I'm sorry. So I'll give the public an opportunity to respond to this, and it'll come back to the board. So is there anybody in the public that would like to respond to this public records access item?
I will.
Right.
Oh, I knew that.
You know,
Come on up, Wes.
I use the I use this each month. Cindy's got almost a canned package that I ask for. I ask for the general ledger. I ask for the general ledger because we have so many mistakes with our numbers. And she gives it to me, and she emails it to me. Basically I told her, I said, I'll come in and sit down and go through it in your office. She don't want me in her office, okay? The public has a right to this information.
Absolutely.
To take a scare time. We've got a policy that we've been using for I don't know how long, and I think I've cooperated with it almost all the time. Now, I'm not speaking of other people, so I don't know what they're doing, but I think I have, and I'm willing to ask in public. But to play games with this and say, now we need to go out here and do a new policy. I don't know how many months it's taken to rewrite this policy, but we've got a policy. It works. I don't think there's any information that hasn't been requested, that hasn't been given. This is just more of the same old stuff that happens over and over and over again to pay this guy his money while he's not here taking care of this plant. Okay? Of all the problems that we got in this place, we've got this thing that works. You know, that's fine to say that. All you're doing is opening it up for a whole bunch of more stuff and a whole bunch of more stuff. Now maybe the new rates that we're going to charge for getting the public information, maybe that will help pay for all the expense at the new Sonora headquarters. Okay? I don't know. But this is getting ridiculous. We've got a little teeny business here. We don't need all this crap. And we just keep going over and over and over and over again.
Thank you. Any others?
Oh, please.
Well, I just have a question. Is this what he's talking about? The office in Sonora is where our agenda is coming from?
No.
I see this other.
It is too coming from there.
Always. That's for the last couple
Would
of
you
months.
let me
3
ask my
months.
question, please? I see on the top of the agenda somebody else's name that I didn't recognize, and normally I don't open emails that I don't recognize. So where are these agendas coming from?
I took a day off.
No,
Pardon me?
I took a day
3
off.
months, 3 months, Cindy.
Yes.
Cindy, 3 months.
And I'm allowed to take days off. And
You take one off every month
yeah, because I haven't for many years.
when the
So,
report comes out.
so she works for Pete, and I asked her to send them out for me.
Oh, okay. That answers my question.
Yeah, I almost missed a meeting because it was in my junk file because it didn't recognize the name.
Yeah.
You can
yeah,
always
that-
get them on the internet as well, because she will post them on the internet
Yeah.
the same time she.
Well, I
posts them.
noticed the last 2 months they've come with somebody else's name on them, and
3 months.
like I say, I just don't normally open emails if I don't know the person, you know?
That's good.
And so that's what I was wondering, are they coming from this, what he's
We
talking about?
have a new communications contract.
You do?
And the communications contract is run out of Sonora and is that gal. And I don't know, the gal's, I have nothing against the gal. The whole point of it is the destruction of this CSD.
This is not.
It isn't, yeah, I apologize.
Yeah. So this is a policy, a new policy that's being put out, and I actually actually don't see a problem with it.
What,
Go ahead.
we're still doing public comment?
Yes, go ahead.
Because I don't want you to go too far and not seeing a problem in it. Hello, I'm being nice.
Thank you.
This was originally written for 3 directors. There's only 2 of them here, because Jim isn't here. Because I believe you are the only 3 that weren't involved in the grant money solution to the outside POU problem that started much of this controversy. The GM Board Treasurer suggests the district is out of compliance with the law regarding public financial record requests. And this non-compliance requires his immediate correction with new policies. The GM Board Treasurer does not explain the factual basis for this alleged non-compliance, but once again employs a necessary policy change ruse to misdirect attention from the actual problem, which is incorrect financial information is being provided to the board, the public, and other entities by the GM Board Treasurer, who is by title the responsible individual to correctly perform these financial duties. For many years, customer and former board president, Wes Barton, has used his extensive accounting and financial background to double check our district's financial health. He does this as a service, no pay. Wes makes detailed public reports to the board regarding his research and findings at almost every monthly board meeting that I've ever attended. Although essentially ignored by the GM Board Treasurer, Barton's reports have often ignited director interest in matters resulting in board action, which is very good for the district and all the customers. Yet today, the GM Board Treasurer, contrary to actually correcting these repetitive financial reporting errors, proposes a policy which will hamper, if not completely eliminate, the only source of legitimate, trustworthy financial information available to those concerned, Wes Barton's monthly reports. A sentence from the CSD letter on page 9 in today's packet is noteworthy. Quote, "Let's make sure we are fixing a problem that actually exists." End quote. What is the problem? Incorrect financial information provided to the board of directors, the public, other government agencies by alleged professionals to which our district already pays a substantial amount of money for proper management of these financial issues. Yet today, the GM Board Treasurer, who is also president of his own for-profit Special District Management Services company, has proposed this solution: severely restrict or completely eliminate the only truthful and reliable reporting available performed by our own customer advocate, Wes Barton. This just plain does not make sense. Also, I think there's been some confusion. I see that in the debt policy that's being offered is a result of a change in the law, and it says the adoption of the debt policies of the board is required for compliance with the new legislation. Yet nowhere do I see that in regards to the other issue of the financial information. So I don't see how we could be out of compliance. I think this is a ruse just to stop questioning numbers that are obviously incorrect. Why would you destroy the one source of factual information for us customers when that's all we have? Thank you.
Go ahead.
Is the only change in the public record request the addition of the 10-day upon receipt? That's the only thing.
Is it closed to the public right now? Are we done with it? Because I just want to be clear on my notes.
Okay, hang on.
But see, that's another thing about this that's kind of disconcerting. The other times we've done policy changes, you have your policy existing, what's being taken out is stricken out, and then the new verbiage is a different color, a different font. So you can look at it and go, oh, okay, this is what's being changed. We don't have that this time. All we have is, here's a new policy that's going to keep us compliant. So I want to know, how are we out of compliance? Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, I'm going to close it to the public. And now, would you mind
Maybe Pete and I could maybe give a reason why this is in here.
Okay.
Before you, and Mike, clear up
Please.
your questions prior. Okay, we do often get public records. I don't want to overspeak, so, but I get them in the office. And yes, Wes has a standing one that he always asks. It is one that I generate, which I'm not sure that that's actual public request, but we do it for him anyways. Usually a public request is a record that you already have on file. So I do generate one for him. I've been instructed by the general manager to always go ahead and run those reports for him, even though it's like a gray area, from what I understand. However, looking at the transparency that we're trying to get done, we have to put certain things in place. When I looked over the policies, I could not find the policy for public records. So I told him, I don't think I even have a policy, but we have a form, we follow the guidelines that I know of.
Is this
and he
going to
does.
inhibit what's going on right now? Is this
Not that I'm aware of, but you can take over there, because I didn't write this particular policy, but it's my understanding that even though we're not supposed to really generate reports, we're still going to. Am I right?
Go ahead.
Yes, you don't, by law, you do not need a public records response policy. The law requires that we respond. Okay, so there's no need for a board policy to say comply with the law. But you could, that could be your policy that just says staff's directed to comply with the law. It's usually a statement of the board that explains the process, because there's a lot of confusion in the public about the access to records and what's not accessible and cost and everything else. This doesn't adopt a fee schedule for anything. A fee schedule has to be done.
What I see here is this is basically something to say the public can have access, and because there's nothing out there that says they can, and so people don't ask sometimes. So I don't see a problem with this, and I don't see that this is going to inhibit Wes's questions or anyone else's questions. Am I correct?
In addition, I see by saying within 10 days, puts a back door on it, you have to respond within a certain amount of time.
Yes.
If we don't have a policy, then that's not a requirement.
Right.
But we do have a policy, don't we?
No, that's
We have a
what I'm
form.
saying.
We have a form. We found a form. We couldn't find a board policy on it.
I could not
So-
find the policy on it.
So
And it
that's why
backs up
this
that
is.
form.
I'm sorry if the staff report was confusing. The staff report says we gotta comply with the law. Okay? This policy is intended, it's the last step for transparency certification, and I really could care less in reality whether it says, the policy says the board, the manager is directed to comply with the law, because we're always gonna comply with the law on it, or whether it says this specifically. It's just, I know that this has been reviewed 100 times over by different attorneys, and that's probably why it's a few pages long, but it doesn't change the way that we do business. It's not intended for us to change anything, other than to document the process, because all we have is a form.
Does the form give you list any minimum, maximum amount of time?
It says in there that you'll get, we have within 10 days to
Okay,
respond to you.
10 days has been established.
That's policy.
Yeah,
That's law.
yes, this doesn't change anything that we've been doing or what's on the form or anything, but it does allow us to get a step closer to that transparency.
That award.
Yes,
Well, it's a recognition.
it's a recognition.
That's the important part of this understanding of this policy is the law requires that we make an initial response within 10 days of whether it is or is not a public record. The response on day 10, if for whatever reason it got stretched out to day 10, might be it is a public record, but it's going to take us 3 weeks to copy it, to pull the records and copy it, and that's completely appropriate. it's that initial response that's 10 days to get, to tell somebody, when they ask for a record, tell them, is it a record or is it not? Because it might be a personnel record, it might be a, there's very few records that really get turned down. Sometimes you redact certain things that might be someone's name or social security number or address or all that, specific utility consumption amounts, because those are not something that you just turn over. And so this doesn't change our practices, it just fills in behind that form to give us direction.
Mr. President?
Go ahead.
Okay, 3 things here real quick. So first of all, we're not non-compliant.
Right.
So this isn't going to make us right because we're not wrong to begin with. Now, the second thing, it enables, I think, and I'm not saying you, because I don't take ugly pills anymore, but somebody could use this framework to intentionally delay. Just like other things happen in these meetings, we just go, oh, can't discuss it on the agenda, next agenda, and it's not on the next agenda, or whatever. So I see a potential for delay in here for, it could be time-sensitive information. The other thing is, the information offered in support of this change is incorrect. When you say, we're already supplying all this information on the website. Honestly, well, no, that's a question, gosh darn it. I wish you guys would look at our own website. Look under notices, and you will see 8 out of 8 don't work, the links. And one of them happens to be a very, very important piece of information, and that's the prohibition on outside place of use water service, which it's incomprehensible to me that this many months that is still inaccessible, since it's such an important piece of information that we argue about in here all the time. It's on the website, it's got a link, but it doesn't work. It hasn't worked for months. So I think it would be highly, not suspicious or improper, I don't know what the word is, disingenuous or something, to approve this policy with all these flaws in it. The information that's supporting it's wrong. We're not non-compliant, so it doesn't have to be done. And it even refers to an Exhibit A. I reread that many, many times. There is no Exhibit A. I'm assuming that's what the resolution is.
Give everybody a chance for public comment. And
You've been very
I take-
gracious.
Yeah,
Thank you.
And I take your comments, and it's, any other, well, we've already closed the public comment, so let me just go on. We're back to the board, and I'll entertain a motion, or we can discuss this, so it's, go ahead.
I'll make a comment. First of all, I think enough questions have been raised from Lou and Wes, that we could put this off till next time. There is no policy so there's no red lined out, so I guess that's out, what Lou says. You can have the full board here, give it a month. I'm not sure, I looked at it, it looked okay. I mean, I guess because we didn't have anything before, we can wait till the full board's here, unless it's really a problem for Syndie and anybody else. We just wait. I mean, they've raised questions. I'll reread it again. I don't know about, I don't see the problems, but I'll make a motion that we put it off for a month until everybody's here and do it again. But I don't see the problems that they see. Seems okay to me, but maybe I'm wrong. I'll reread it. That's all I can say. With the things that they said in mind, and see if I can find something wrong.
Go ahead.
That was
Is there
our-
urgency?
I mean, not really. I'd like to, it's
Move on.
one of those things that
Let's just move on and.
Exactly. It's just to tell the public what our policy is on it. So, yeah.
I'm kind of like the thing on television these days is a binary decision. I'd like to see a binary decision on this. In other words, yes or no. I mean, there's no reason to put this off for another month in my mind. It can either be, we can either say yes, or we can either say no today. It just seems to me that can.
I got a great idea. Why don't we make the website right, and then you attack this again? Because you're using the website as evidence that, yeah, we need a policy, but the website isn't working. Let's get the website to work the way it's supposed to, and then it would be a legitimate
All
support
right.
for this.
All right, thank you.
And thank you for the
By
leniency.
the way, this is such a small thing, I don't give a damn either. Okay?
All right.
Um,
Well, Wes doesn't care.
It's a law says you gotta do
Um,
it.
I
Be-
think I have policy.
Pages 30 and 31 are Exhibit A, they're just not labeled as such.
Right.
So I have no problem going forward with it, just knocking it out, let's move on to something else.
Are you making the motion?
Is that a motion?
It's a, yeah, I guess it's.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
I'd like to put it to bed.
Yes, I do too, and I don't see that this is gonna inhibit any of the things we've already been doing. I think it's great that we have a policy, and I'll second it.
And it's not gonna stop what Wes does, right?
Wes,
And so,
I'm gonna ask you to come to me immediately if you find it doesn't work, and we'll make sure it doesn't.
Yeah.
You know, Syndie has been super good to providing the reports that I've asked for, because the reports that I asked for, you get a general ledger. That's all I'm getting from you is a general
I
ledger.
have a general, well, I have the general ledger,
And
but
I get the general
I
ledger.
actually pull up a
okay?
report and print it for him.
And the other thing I forgot was, the bank reconciliation. You sure as hell should be getting a bank reconciliation. That's how I asked
We
for
should
that.
stop that and make this meeting easier.
And I asked, recently, I asked for a few checks, because I'm looking at this right now. I know that we owe a lot more money than we've been putting on the books, okay? It's obvious we owe a lot more money than we've been putting on the books.
Is that a
And
question
so
you
I've
have
been
on here?
asking, no, I'm just telling you what I get, and I'm telling you why I don't care, and I don't think there's gonna be a problem. I don't think Cindy's gonna cut me off. I'm hoping you're not gonna raise the rates to pay for the new headquarters. So I don't have a problem with this either. It's just that we're spending our time on the most piddly farting things around when we have got huge problems.
So you got a motion and a second, I'll vote for it. Second, saying there's not a problem, so call for vote.
All right. There's a motion on the floor and a second. All in favor? Aye. So the motion passes. Again, we have two absents.
What was the motion?